Kita, Taylor with the multi-tempo report. So we've got cyclones to talk about and US severe weather to talk about. Well, severe thunderstorms, I should say. So yes, let's talk about the new stuff. So this one's new. JTWC is still calling this a high chance of tropical cyclone formation. Meteor France has already put it as, I believe, a tropical depression. Tropical depression number 6. I believe this is the one that's going to be called Emang. E-M-A-N-G, I believe. So, yeah, and they have it on the path getting up to the equivalent of Category 2 hurricane status. This is the thing that I've seen on the forecast models for days and days and days and days, where there's this area out here that's supposed to develop into something and then never quite makes it. So maybe it finally has actually turned into something. So that is Tropical Depression number 6 over in the South Indian Ocean. And then we've got Narelle. Narelle is starting to weaken. In fact, if you go to the storm tracker page, you can see the satellite loop. Now, there are still cyclone warnings and cyclone watches in effect. However, Narelle down to Cat 3 status on the Australian scale. And you can see the bands, for the most part, are actually staying away from the coast, at least as of now. Or at least it looks that way. Now, there is, like, thunderstorm activity, you can obviously tell, on the outskirts of that. But, you know, things could be much worse. So, Narelle is apparently encountering shear and colder sea surface temperatures. So Narelle is basically at the max strength right now. Now, when you see this, it says current wind speed is 85 knots and the max predicted is 100 knots. That's presumably because there's disagreements between the Bureau of Meteorology, if you go all the way down, and the JTWC. So they're probably just putting it at different things. So 85, 70, so that goes down, 85, 70. Yeah, so JTWC 190, so that's where that is. So yeah, the JTWC has it at 100 knots, Bureau of Meteorology has it at 85. That's why the max is higher than the current. Anyway, so it's weakening is my point with that. So, and then this thing that was a medium yesterday, this is Tropical Depression. Which tab is it? There we go. Tropical Depression Bising, where Pegos has acknowledged it as a tropical depression, but nobody else has. JTWC had this as a medium chance of tropical cyclone formation yesterday. Now they've downgraded it to a low. Now, obviously, still, you know, well, let's see, in fact. There is no public storm warning signal that would be related to winds, but rainfall and things like that. So, obviously, still bad weather. But Pegasa right now is the only one who is officially calling it some sort of tropical cyclone. And then this thing has crossed the anti-meridian, so now it shows up on this side of the map, as opposed to over there where everything disappears, that 180 mark. So yeah, low chance of tropical cyclone formation out on that one. So, another thing. So this thing is, you know, Narelle is going away, but there's apparently, potentially, going to be a new storm forming out here in the next few days. I believe it is, if you go to this one, it is the GFS model that shows this. So this is where Narelle currently is and wherever, whenever it's going to load. Let's just sit here and wait. Yes. Of course, nothing ever works as it should. So what you're going to be looking for whenever it finally does load is this area right here. So there we go. So, and this is the GFS model. This is just one of several forecast models available. But look at that. That thing, if this were to occur the way that the GFS shows it, that looks like a fairly, you know, significant tropical cyclone forming off the coast and then making landfall in Australia. But that is just one forecast model. The GFS has been wrong about things. All of the models have been wrong about things. But, you know, it's just something to keep an eye on. But apparently, as of right now, there isn't even a disturbance out there. There's no kind of, you know, there's no JTWC outlook on it. Well, actually, I have not checked the Bureau of Meteorology. I'm going to have to start checking their outlooks too, because they have outlooks. But yeah, so that is what is happening right now. So future cyclone Emang, I'm not sure about that. Narelle weakening, this low chance, and then this low chance out there in the Northwest Pacific. So, severe thunderstorm weather-wise in the US today. The mesoscale discussion that's in effect is for, it's talking about, yes, low-level jet increasing to 55 knots, whatever any of that means. But apparently the probability is increasing considerably after 21 Zulu, which I believe is 1600 hours. No, wait, that doesn't sound right. I think it's 1500 hours Central Standard Time, which would make it 3 o'clock in the afternoon is when this apparently is starting to kick off. And tornado watch likely on this one, 80%. So that is the mesoscale discussion that's in effect for today. Here is today's hot zone or hotspot or whatnot. So this is the probability of wind, severe winds. So 58 mile per hour and greater winds, as high as a 15% chance today. 1 inch or larger hail is just a 1%, but tornado is up to a 5%. So that basically overlaps, not quite. But with where the wind chance is the greatest, there's also the tornado threat. So almost all of Arkansas in a 5% today with. Except for this area that's not in anything. But yeah, so what would that really mean with the 5%? So you just pick this random point here in Arkansas, you draw a 25-mile radius circle around it, and that means that there's a 5% chance of a tornado occurring somewhere within that 25-mile radius circle. So to give you some perspective, tornado outbreak type days, you tend to see like the 45%, huge tornado outbreak type days. But 5% is still very significant on a climatological scale. But, you play the odds, Do you play the lottery? So you don't want to win this lottery unless you like tornadoes. But otherwise, it's back to winter weather where it's absolutely nothing. Or at least not as of now. There's nothing predicted to happen after today. So yes, severeweathertv.com is the official homepage of this screencast. WikiWix is WICKEDWX.com. Cyclone is CYCLOCANE.com. That is it for today. Hopefully you are staying safe out there.